a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal. Step inside, we're breaking chains.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I finally got the radio mics to work correctly the first time around. Love that. It's always an adventure when I'm trying to figure stuff out. So far into the game here, but we are just making sure everybody's going to jump in when they need to jump in. Making sure everybody's coming on over from the video we just watched. Give everybody a minute or two here. Awesome. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to give it another minute or two, make sure people come in. This is a little weird over with the switcheroo from the live for the video premiere to the live stream. Takes you from one place to the other. So as everybody's traveling down the YouTube highway to our video destination, we're just here hanging out. All right. Here we go. So if you're still here, this is where it gets fun. So welcome to the Prosperity Lounge After Show. This is our behind the scenes. We call it Behind the Velvet Rope. It's our after show. A lot of fun. Scott Russ, the mental mechanic, who was featured in our episode, is hanging around and co-hosting tonight. He's down here behind the scenes, getting ready to come on in. We're going to kind of turn this into like a live working session a little bit. We're going to dive deep into what we talked about. Before we do that, I want to give a quick thank you to some of our sponsors here. And there's a QR code on the screen there. Click that QR code. It takes you to our sponsors page. There you'll find two of our sponsors. You'll find Bello Business Solutions, and you'll find LaPera Insurance. Bello Business Solutions is all about getting your business up and running, everything to do your day-to-day. And LaPera Insurance is to make sure your business is insured, make sure you're insured, and protecting yourself and protecting your assets. Next code on the screen there is for Lagos. Lagos is the #1 Bible study tool app. We're giving you 60 free days, free trial of any of their platform, any of their levels. You can, their highest level, lowest level, whatever. 60 days. They normally give 30. They're giving us 60. Try it out. Click on it. It's free for 60 days. And then we got Pure and Easy Tea. Pure and Easy Tea is a great tea company. All natural, all fresh ingredients, all hand done. Amazing. We got an interview with the owner coming up in a little bit. But Pure and Easy Tea gets special pricing using that link up here. And finally, I don't know why nobody's using Upside. If you're not, you need to be using Upside. Upside's right there. It's a special promo link. You get some special deals because you clicked on our link. Upside gives you so many good deals. Percentage off. As a financial guy, I love getting money back. Imagine getting 20, 30, 40% off your grocery bill, your coffee run, your gas. Yep, you can do that with Upside. I think in the first month, I've got like $100 back just from normal day-to-day stuff. Go get a Dunkin' coffee, shopping for groceries, and fill up my gas tank. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So use that QR code up there. Click on it and download the Upside app. And there you go. Wait a second. I'm going to do a video on that later on down the line. Some of the other apps that I use to get cash back, because you can double, triple up on some of these apps and make some good money back. And I appreciate that. Thank you all for being here in the chat. Hi to Noxy Knox and Up to No Good and everybody else who's here. If you're here watching and it's your first time, thank you so much. We do this after every episode on Mondays and Wednesdays with our guests, do our takeaway. So we have a live premiere every Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And then Fridays, we have our live radio show at 6 o'clock as well. We do a live stream behind the scenes. You get to see what's going on. You get to watch the show and interact with the guests in real time. But this is the after show. This is where we take what we just learned or just watched, and I kind of tell you what I learned from it because it's about my growth as well. Not, if I'm not learning anything, how can I help you learn it as well? So we're going to get there. If you're building a business, growing your finances, or leveling up yourself personally, you need the right partners around you. That's exactly why we partner with these businesses I just shared, because we believe in growth, clarity, and momentum. Check them out. Descriptions will be everywhere. Click on those QR codes and basically support businesses that support this community. It'd be great, 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 great. All right, Scott, are you ready? Give me a thumbs up there. Double thumbs up from Scott. Sweet.
Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you so much. I was going to say, you ready to shake some patterns loose here?
Let's see what we can figure out. It's always a good time.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. Thank you again for the episode. Amazing stuff. Learned a lot. I learned that I don't have to bark like a dog if I don't want to. I am still waiting for my medal from the president. So he has not called me yet. I have not called him either. And that's about it.
Might be a long wait.
Might be. So I have a couple takeaways. If I go through my list here, I have a total of three to four takeaways from the episode tonight. I want to kind of get into the first one right away. The first one was, I wrote it as takeaway number one: you're not stuck, you're patterned. Energy up. And basically, I want to get right into that headline. So you're not stuck, you are patterned, and that's, I guess, essentially the good news.
I would say so. I mean,
yeah.
that is kind of the good thing, really. Yeah, we have the power of pattern recognition. Our brain is one of the most powerful computer processors in the world. It's really made for the purpose of pattern recognition. We got really, really good at that from a very early stage. So we have the patterns that we have. And the good news is we can choose to change them if we are aware of them and we take care of them. That's something that sometimes takes a little bit more active work than it does for a lot of other people. But with a little bit of work, we can do something with that, which is good. Being stuck is just stuck. That's a little harder to figure out how to get out of.
Yeah, because stuck, and I've had this conversation a lot recently with people, is just that this stuck feels permanent. And patterned at least feels changeable.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the way you're in the same spot, but it's just the words you're choosing to use, whether they have weight or not to them. Because stuck, like I said, stuck is one of those, like, I'm in concrete boots at the bottom of the Tennessee River.
Well, part of the reason for that is there's this concept in NLP about the layers of the subconscious mind. Saying I am, anything that's an I am statement, that's an identity. That's the deepest layer, the most intrinsic level of your sense of self. That's something you take on personally. That's I am. I am a good person, or I am a Christian. So if you say I am stuck, that's identity level layer of saying, oh, that's really something that is intrinsic to me. Whereas if you're just, I'm noticing a pattern. I'm noticing is I have observed. I'm observant. That's good. But that also means that the much lower layer of just seeing results, the results layer is down at the very bottom. That's low to the subconscious. We can change our results all the time. We don't take those personally. The identity layer is deep in there. We care about that a lot. So if somebody says, I am stuck, they feel that. They take that on as an identity. They are not going to shift for anything. It's going to be really hard to shake that.
Interesting. Let's check in the chat here. Anybody's got any questions for Scott? Make sure you put them in the chat. I'll make sure I get to them when I can. Yeah, I like that thought process. I am versus I'm noticing or I'm seeing?
It's part of how I tell people to get out of their emotion when they are, I'm so sad. A part of me is feeling sad will reduce
Mhm.
that on its own just by changing the language by like 20% to 50%, because that changes it from
Yeah.
the me, I am sad, to just, well, part of me feels sad about that because
And
part
you're
of me
right, because you
already
basically what you're doing there is you're flipping the oh, what's the word I want to use? I want to say the visual construct. That's not it, but internalizing versus externalizing. I think that's what I want to go with, because if you are saying I am stuck, you're seeing it from an internal perspective. If you're saying I recognize patterns in me, or I'm recognizing a pattern, I'm recognizing something that's getting stuck or whatever it is, then you're looking at the situation from the outside. Like you're almost like an out of body experience, looking at it at yourself versus internalizing yourself. So you're seeing it from a different perspective. And I think that just even goes, oh wow, okay, I can see the bigger picture now than just what I'm seeing inside of me. And that's going to allow me to change my course or move my direction or change or recognize what I need to do differently, rather than being in this I am stuck head down. I don't see what's in front of me, versus I recognize things because I'm looking forward and I can see what I need to do. I'm on the right track, I think.
Oh yeah, I would
I'm
say
getting it.
so, for sure, for sure.
Okay. And then just that shift alone really, really can change somebody's trajectory. I mean, just the matter of just, I wasn't saying, the note I have here is, in 60 seconds, explain why that shift alone changes someone's trajectory. That was my question to you. But we literally just answered it, because it doesn't take 60 seconds to change somebody's trajectory. But just that recognition of, like what you just said, it's a slow process, because people sometimes get very going to go back to that stuck phrase, but they're comfortable in where they're at, whether that is a pattern of stuckness, whether that is a woe is me philosophy. There's comfort in an identity of that. So changing their identity is uncomfortable. So they get very, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I'd rather be stuck than not know what's next.
yeah. And the uncomfortable zone of everything that's outside of your comfort zone makes up so much of the rest of the world. You know, if you want to get out there, if you want to grow, if you want to see change, change is
Mhm.
going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be different from what you already knew.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're in the chat right now, or even if you're rewatching this, drop a comment if you've noticed a pattern repeating itself in your life. So maybe in money or relationships, maybe in confidence or procrastination. Put it out there. Um, First step, I think, is in recognizing it, is putting it out there and recognizing that you have it, and then we can work through how you fix it, how you change it. But you got to recognize it first. So let's get it out there, recognize it, put it out there for the world to see, and that'll be the last time you ever feel that way, because you've given up your identity by putting it out there. Uh, Scott, one thing I wanted to talk about, and it came up briefly in the conversation, but I didn't actually think about it until I rewatched the episode tonight. You were talking about, I think it was with your shirt, and you were talking about the color of your shirt, and you were talking about it blue versus blurb, and telling somebody, no, it's not blue, it's blurb, and they kind of repeating it over and over until they finally said, well, I guess that's what it is, kind of thing. Like you put that out there. And it immediately got me thinking about gaslighting, in a sense. And I wanted to go down that road with you a little bit and unpack something that, that was there. Because a lot of people feel stuck, but not just from internal patterns, but from those external voices that have maybe shaped those patterns. And I want to get into how gaslighting may affect someone's subconscious programming and get into some deeper questions around that. Is that something we can handle a little bit tonight?
I mean, we can take a shot at it.
Okay, great. Because it kind of was thinking when you're talking about that, it kind of reminded me of like scenarios that I've seen of like, you left the light on. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Oh, I guess I left the light on. And all of a sudden, no, you always leave the light on. I guess I always do. And it's like, I mean, usually gaslighting is it has a negative effect, right? It's a negative thing on somebody. It's a form of control in a sense. And
yeah, it's usually a form of abuse. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a pretty intense tactic, and it's used to manipulate somebody psychologically into questioning their own sanity. It's extreme.
Okay, so then where does the that kind of the line for that versus the what we talked about in the episode versus the color of the shirt, and telling somebody that's not the color of the shirt is now this as opposed to that? It's a fine
Well, I
line,
mean,
right?
It could be a fine line. I was thinking about the color of the shirt less in the understanding of like somebody actually literally was taught that blue is blurb, and more
Yeah.
in like a difference of perspective. If it's a cultural thing, for example, in Spanish, blue is azul. It is always azul. That is the word. So if they looked at it and they said azul, and you looked at it and corrected them and tried to say that's blue, it's always blue. It's like, well, no. I mean, we call it blue because we're both native English speakers, but somebody in France is going to use whatever the French word for blue is. Somebody in Germany is going to use the German word for blue. It's all relative to an extent. And if you don't know that that's what they're saying, but you're still insisting on being right and it being blue by your definition, then that's going to cause friction and tension and frustration, probably for everybody involved.
Okay, makes sense now. I see what you're saying. I don't know why my mind went to gaslighting for a second, because I think it was sort of that same, like the argument part of it of like pushing your thought to them and correcting them that their reality was wrong.
Yeah.
Your reality is the correct one, and then questioning and to have them
Yeah.
question what reality around them is actually true or not. Am I actually seeing this? Am this actually going on?
Because
Is this
that ties
really
into
happening to me?
saying perception is reality.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
thing. So, like I say, if somebody is natively from China, they speak Mandarin, their word is not blue. I don't know what the Mandarin word for blue is, but they wouldn't say that. They would use their word, which is fine,
Okay.
until you're talking to them and they're trying to talk to someone from Japan and trying to correct them on their pronunciation. Because it's like, now, wait a second, your understanding of what this means and why it's important and their understanding are not going to be the same. Your perception is reality, and you perceive that as them arguing with you, but really they're agreeing with you. You just don't know because you're not listening to them. You're not really hearing what they're saying. You're still hung up on the exact way that they're saying it.
Okay. And if you know the word for blue in Mandarin, put it in the chat. I'd love to learn it.
Yeah, give us the characters. Let's see if we can
I'd
figure
love
that
to know
out.
that. Yeah, I think what the question I got from that segment with the shirt and also with the gaslighting part was, how do you know when somebody is dealing with maybe a real internal flaw versus maybe a pattern that was installed by somebody else?
Once they have allowed it to become internal, it doesn't really matter where it came from. It matters if they're willing to let go of it. So if
Oh.
they got it from their father, who was abusive and hit them and told them not to believe women and didn't like teach them how to respect other people and
Mhm.
always belittled them, men don't cry, grown men don't cry, etc., then if they took that on and now they're pushing 50 and they haven't seen their father in 30 years because he died at 48 and you're still just living with that, but you want to be better about it and are trying not to teach your own children that, then it doesn't really matter that it came from dad anymore. It matters that this is what you're holding on to, and you got to pry your fingers off of it and let it go. If it becomes internal, then where it came from outside doesn't matter anymore. If it's still external and you haven't let it in yet, then that's okay. There's a way to start to filter that a little more and be like, okay, we're going to put up some extra walls of protection and defense against that. Whatever that is, it's really toxic and it's out there and it's all the time. For my perspective and my understanding, a lot of the stuff out of this particular political administration is pretty toxic stuff. They believe in a lot of things that I don't think are particularly healthy or good for people. If you let that in and you take it on internally, then all of a sudden you believe that. And that means that you have to deal with that. If you just need to put up walls against that instead and be like, we're going to just not watch that news channel for now. Or, hey, I'm not getting on Twitter. It doesn't matter what's going on there. I don't want to see it. I don't need to know about it. I don't need to hear it. You just put up some extra walls of nope. Put the blinders on and just, if you don't perceive it, it won't become part of your reality.
Yeah, I think the bigger, and I don't want to go down a political rabbit hole, but I think
we don't need to, for sure.
Yeah, no,
I get that.
but I think it's like when you're saying, I think it's both. I'll say it's both sides of the aisle do this, and it affects the opposite side. So depending who's in there, it affects the other. Because I think there's a way of there's certain people and certain personality types that will believe everything that comes out of everybody, right? So that's where you're at, as opposed to, you know what, I heard this, and I'm going to do a little more research on it. Or I heard this, and I heard that from the other side. So somewhere in the middle is probably what is right. But let me do a little bit more. Let me come up with my own opinion on it, and not be the mouthpiece. Because we've all seen news clips from both sides of the question where something happens and you see a reporter or somebody who has authority say a phrase or I'll just say you say a phrase about the situation, and that phrase is repeated 72 times throughout the day on various talk shows and various news apps. Like the person saying it is saying it for the first time, but it's the 70th time it's been said today. And that you see it becomes part of the lexicon. Then all of a sudden you hear it and you go, man, that they're true. But subconsciously I've heard it 70 times throughout the day. Like it must be true now.
Mm-hmm. It's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah. And then when it's corrected, you don't hear the correction 72 times. You barely hear it at all. And then you still question because you think the first thing you heard is correct.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of why having the reactionaries or the knee-jerk people being the first people that you hear or the first people that you listen to is one of those things that I'm like, that's real dangerous, man. You got to be careful with that. Make sure that you're taking a step back, taking a moment, taking a breath. I know that we're living in an information age and people want to have the up-to-the-minute stuff, but at the same time, there's just this taking a step back and taking a deep breath that's going to be a lot healthier for you, because a lot of that stuff is not going to be stuff that you can do something about for yourself, and it will help your peace to not engage with all of it all the time. It's not going to be healthy.
Yeah. And I think that transcends even to like yourself as maybe like a business owner as well. I mean, you hear maybe like the sky is falling every day in the economy, and you think like, my business isn't going to last much longer. Why am I doing any of this work anymore? I don't care. Oh, my business is going to go away by the end of the year because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, as opposed to, yeah, it's going to go away because you didn't do anything about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You just let it happen and then blamed everybody else for it instead of taking it on yourself to fix the problem as opposed to being stuck in the problem.
There's an analogy that we didn't get to in the show of the sphere of influence and the sphere of concern. And I was taught this in my teen years. I don't know how much other people have heard it or how widespread the idea is, But if we picture the sphere of influence as a tennis ball, and then the sphere of concern as a beach ball around it, your sphere of concern is everything that you hear, everything that you know about, everything that's going on. My sphere of concern in the internet age, I know about stuff in Canada. I know about stuff in New Zealand. I know about stuff in Africa. I have heard about things as far as Denmark, but that doesn't mean that I can do anything about it, because my sphere of influence is what I can actually touch. It's what I can actually do something about. It's what I actually have authority over or a direct impact on, and that is a much smaller ball. You can live in one or the other, but if you're living in the sphere of concern all the time, your sphere of influence shrinks down to a marble because it gets smaller and smaller because you're not doing anything to actually do anything. If you focus on being in the sphere of influence, you may miss out on some stuff that's going on out there in the sphere of concern. It might shrink a bit. It gets like a bowling ball instead. Oh no, but it's still going to be huge. But what you can actually do something about is going to be a lot smaller anyway. It's always going to be a smaller sphere. That's just how that works.
Yeah, I did a video last week. It was called "Nobody's Coming to Save You." What I wish I knew at 22, and it was basically on the fact that most people between say 18 and 35 are waiting. And I referenced that they're waiting for the right opportunity, the right motivation, someone to notice them, someone to give them a break, and not realizing that what they're waiting on is actually themselves. Because what you were talking about earlier kind of made this pop into my mind a little bit, is when you're younger, you have this you have structure because your parents are always there to fix something, your teachers are always there to kind of guide you a little bit, and bosses always assign work and all that kind of stuff when you're younger. But as you get older, you realize that, I think I said, nobody's managing your money, nobody's managing your health, nobody's building your future, nobody's fixing your discipline. And then that realization starts to get heavy with people, and they start to blame things like the economy, their boss, politics, their parents, not having enough connections on LinkedIn, not whatever it is, as opposed to taking responsibility for themselves. And some people can either have that as a wake-up call and become the hero in their journey, or they could just, I don't want to say wither and die, but stuck in their own thing, that this is their pattern going forward. They are that stuck, right? That's their definition. Or they can, like I said, they could break out of that mold and become the hero of their story and realize that this is where I need to create the discipline. This is where I don't need the government. I don't need a boss. I don't need anybody but myself. I don't need the lottery. I just need myself, that I am capable of more, that I can do this, and that I can succeed. So kind of made me think about that episode I did. So thank you for bringing that up.
Living at cause.
Absolutely. Takeaway number 2 was problem equals challenge equals momentum. So the second breakthrough tonight was problem, challenge, and opportunity. This isn't necessarily positive fluff thinking. It was neurological framing. And kind of back to where we were in the first part with labeling. Why do you think labeling matters so much to people? Maybe just from an outside perspective, but also from an internal.
One, because that goes with pattern recognition. What we have labeled, we can then categorize, and what we can put into categories, we can see other things in the same category, which means we can see patterns, which means that it all tracks together, and we can say, oh, this is going to fail because it's in this pattern, or oh, this will be successful, it's in this pattern. We can see the graph. And 2, because if we can label it, then we have a name for it. Names can be very powerful. If something is still nebulous and just an idea and we don't really know because it's not locked down, it's not specific, it's just someday I'll, etc. It's just, okay, but get specific with it. Is it going to be by Tuesday the 2nd? Or is it going to be by January of 2030? Or is it going to be, it makes it be more real. Even if it's still just an idea, it makes that idea take a certain shape to give it a name, to give it a label, to start blocking it down and saying, hey, we are going to be buying another car in 4 to 6 months, and it needs to be a truck or a mid-size SUV. That means it's going to take away a lot of the other things. And with that cutting away of other stuff, it's kind of like the sculptor chiseling away and making something into a statue. The excess is going to get removed and the options are going to narrow. And sometimes that feels uncomfortable to people because we like to make sure that we've got lots of options.
Yeah.
But in reality, we always only have a couple of options because that one choice is going to be the one next choice. And that choice has already been informed by about 30,000 choices that were made before that got you to this point.
Yeah. Gosh, it brings up, I had somebody on recently and we talked about subconscious processing. And I don't remember the exact numbers, and I wish I had better recall on that. But it was something like every second we process like 486,000 thoughts subconsciously or something like that. But we only really remember or actually work with like 30 of them or something like that. It was just an astronomical number of subconscious things that were in our head at a given moment that we don't consciously process. So it's just crap that just keeps getting fed into ourselves. Eventually, like, it defines things, right? It makes us finds who we are. It's that stuck pattern. It's those pattern recognitions that we have to kind of look through. And man, it's just, oh gosh, so stressful.
I think the number, as I remember it in NLP, was that we use about 0.007% of our brain consciously as compared to the unconscious amount that is being taken in every second.
Yeah.
The amount of information total that you are given, and then the amount of information that you are processing and able to understand and do something with or use is so astronomically fractional of that enormous number, which, I mean, in its own way is a really good thing. That's part of what helps us keep sane. But by the same token, God, the amount that we could do with that much processing, if we could actually grasp all of it all the time at that scale, is just mind-boggling.
I know. Oof, my gosh. So if you're here in the chat and you've been watching a little bit and you hung out with us through the episode and you're here still, obviously love for you to subscribe, love for you to give the video a like. But what I want to do is, if you have a problem that you're facing right now, and I want you to rewrite it as a challenge and put it in the chat. And if you're not here live and you're rewatching, please do that as well. And we'll check in from time to time and we'll try to figure out a way to kind of fix it for you or help you through whether or not you did it right. We'll help you make it a challenge. But I want to workshop one live with you, Scott, right now. And since I don't think anybody's writing in the chat this second, we will work through me. I'll be the guinea pig. My problem right now is, and I'll take off my Teflon exterior and I'll be soft, ooey and gooey here.
It always helps when the host shows real emotion. Go for it.
Scott, I'm having some issues now.
Joey, I understand. It's hard.
I need to make a decision pretty quickly about the direction of my show. We're on 100 episodes between my daily show now and the primetime show. Almost at a year. May will be a year since we started doing this. We've grown a little bit. We've grown with an audience. We've grown with people. We've grown with connections. But I have two problems. One, connecting with partners who want to grow with me and help me grow. And two, connecting with an audience who want to, I guess, be there every week or be there and supportive. I see the same people every week, even though our audience is kind of growing, same people in the chat. I want to get more people involved. I'm very like, I ask, I tell, I say, this is what it is, but I'm not like, I need your help, or I really would appreciate it if you would be here tonight or check this out or watch or do this. How can I be more assertive in that? How can I make that a challenge to myself? My wife would like you to tell me how to stop biting my fingers, but I'm not going to go there just yet.
I mean, that's a different question.
Here I am on camera.
I have attempted to share a thing with you and it did not work properly, I think. That is unfortunate. But that's okay. We'll come back to that later. There is a more like podcast specific coach that I have found recently. I made a connection and she's been a great friend so far. I think that I could share your contact information with her because she's already looking for podcasters to get a little bit of market research that she's doing. So making that connection for you, free, easy, perfect. Good to go.
Okay.
The assertiveness part from your end, more specifically though, that's a little different. So the growing the podcast side, work with Jenny. She's great. I mean, truly, I will make that connection. Warm introduction. I'm sure that will go well. The getting out there and getting comfortable with being more open, being more forthcoming in sharing your needs, in saying what you want, in getting that open vulnerability almost of just, hey, I'm doing something and I would really love to have more people interacting, or, you know, hey, I'm trying to make some stuff happen here. I would really like your help if you would be willing to do that. There are a couple of ways to go about that. The first one that comes to my mind is to ask a different question to you, which is a little bit of that reframing and a little bit of this thinking really specifically about narrowing it down. And that would be to ask you, what in your thinking, past, present, or future, what in your thinking tells you that it's hard to ask for help?
I've always kind of looked back at myself as being someone who is capable of doing it themselves.
Pause.
Never working with a team.
Saying always on anything is the same as saying never on the opposite, which is something that is, generally speaking, not going to be true. I remember this from lots of standardized test questions. Always and never very rarely happen. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not true. That just means that that's what you have thought of so far. So,
okay,
is it always that you've looked back on it, or is it that you have recently looked back on it and thought that that was the case before?
I will reframe it and say I have repeatedly been put in situations where I have been forced to either work alone, act alone, or take it upon myself to complete tasks. So therefore, that's how I know how to operate.
Gotcha. Okay. So let me ask you this one. What is the first thing that every human does on being born?
Cry.
What are we crying for?
Because we left this place that we were comfortable. Now it's an unknown.
Right. We're crying because we're uncomfortable. We're crying because we're no longer safe, protected, warm. But what are we crying for? What are we crying for?
We're crying for I would say comfort. Somebody to comfort us.
Yeah. We're crying out for help. We're
Help.
crying out
Yeah.
for comfort. We're crying out for mom, I need something. Hello, help. I'm here. What am I doing? We're crying out for help.
Mm-hmm.
Animals in the wild are born with the most necessary skills. That's how they survive. Whatever it is that they need to survive, that's what they had to be born with. A giraffe can be up and running in like 30 seconds. I am pretty sure that lions take a little longer to like develop in size, but they start playing at like hunting, trying to learn how to use their claws. Their claws are there from birth. They are ready. They are armed. Our very first thing that we do is cry. Our very first action in being born into this world is to be asking the world and people in it for help. So, you have, for whatever reason, in whatever time span, either been neglecting a tool that you have access to and been choosing not to use, or have not taken care of a tool that would be helpful in taking care of you. I would recommend that you do a little maintenance on that and think about how best to use it, because it's been with you from day one. You've always had access to it. But for whatever reason, something changed or something shifted and you grew out of it and grew comfortable with not using it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not bad that you haven't. But if you start to, how much more could you do with it? It's the difference between using a hammer and a nail gun. It's the difference between doing it all by yourself, all the time, alone, every time, and building up something that lasts past you so that there's more to it than just you running the show.
And and I think as you were talking, I think one of the things for me was the male role models that are around me when I was younger were they were especially my dad, my uncle. Some of them were disabled. They were blind, but capable, never asking for help, getting it done themselves, pushing through. And for me, being a capable, non-disabled person, asking for help meant that I was kind of inferior. And so if how can I be inferior, or how can I be less of when I'm supposed to be more than, especially when you're told you're supposed to be more than, and then getting shot, so there's like these little patterns of that. I grew up also in a family where um, I had very smart, I'll say I had very smart relatives, number one, number two in their graduating classes, all of them before me. I was like the fourth in line. So it's like first three are like number one, number two, number one, number two, number one, number two, then me, after me, number one, number two, number one, number two, number one, number two. And then I'm like number 25. So it's like, hey, how come you didn't I got a A minus. Well, how come you didn't get an A plus like this one? Right. So my framing of like, I'm not good enough, even though in everybody else is like, take it out of my family and I'm spectacular. But within the confines of the people who I'm asking for help from and I'm vulnerable with, I'm not. You sort of just shrink into this, well, let me just be my own bubble then, and never really let anybody in and be suspicious and cautious. Because if I ask for help, that means I have flaws.
And isn't it just wonderful being perfect?
It is. I mean, I've loved it so far.
Oh, Lord. Mercy.
So I've tried hard to kind of get through that, and I'm like, I'm going to ask for help, and I'll hire somebody to help me, and I will take some stuff off my plate to realize I don't have to do it all and things. And it's been great. But then I kind of get in this pattern of like, when I'm asking for help and the help doesn't come, or it doesn't come in a way that I think it should come, or in the amount that I've asked for in reciprocal, then I like go, okay, well, maybe I should stop asking for help again, because I've asked for it and nobody heard me, or nobody cared enough to help the way I perceive the caring should happen. Then I stop asking for it. And then I start thinking, well, what's wrong with me?
Oof.
You didn't think you were getting into this tonight, huh?
I mean, I'm happy to if you're willing to. It's your
I
audience,
talk about
man.
it weekly with somebody too. I it's part of my process. But yeah,
That's a
it's
good
interesting.
thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be quite honest. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but I'll be quite honest. Like, I put out a bunch of posts. I saw you did too about our episode tonight. I put it in our giant networking group that has thousands of people and people we see constantly every week. And every day before a show starts, I'm like, tonight's the night I got 50 people to watch, because they're just going to show up. And then it's the same 12 to 15 people. And I'm like, why isn't anybody coming in to support? It's a free thing to do. Not just me, but also for my guests. It's a great thing to learn. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe I should just stop asking people to watch the show.
Well, before you, there are two paths. There is the version of you that moves on and doesn't do the show, that just pivots and does something else. I mean, you've done the show. And the wonderful thing about the show is every show has its beginning, its middle, its end. Eventually, you want the show to end, right? I mean, you don't want to do this until you're 90. This is something that you are doing, and you will get to a point where you decide you're done. You've done 100 episodes. That is enough to be successful. That is enough to be an accomplishment. That is enough to say, I did my project. I liked it. I loved it. It was good. It was for me. And I did it. And there is a version of you that calls it good. And you just quit. You're done. You hang up the spurs. You go do a different thing. There is also a version of you that doubles down and decides that you're going to get the help, and you're going to go for it anyway. And you're going to go for it even harder because you really want this and you really care about it and it really matters to you. Now, that version of you doesn't care how many people see it, but does care about getting it in front of people, which means that you would do anything to get it in front of those people. Now, you made the posts, and that's good. And I also made a post. You noticed, I tagged you. Here's the thing. Facebook doesn't like it when you take people off their platform. They're not friendly. No. They don't care. They're a business and they make money from having people pay for advertisements. But by the same token, if you were paying for advertisements and you bought out a certain amount, $5 a day, $10 a day, $20 a day, and it got you an audience that got to the scale of some of your other competition, you would see explosive growth. It wouldn't be free. I'm not saying it can be. I'm not saying it can't be. I don't know about that. I'm not the best expert on that. But when it comes right down to it, the question needs to be, who is the show for? And why is the show happening? What makes you want to do this? This is how you give back. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you give, not take, not something that you need to get from, but something that you give to, right?
I would say I derive joy from it. And I do take from it because I do learn from each guest how to think differently, how to pattern differently, how to react differently. And if I would have asked this question 6 months ago, I probably would have a different way of asking it than I do now, because I'm asking more from a strategic aspect and more of a a fragile, fragile. I don't want to say fragile mental aspect, but from a fragile aspect, 6 months ago, I would have been like, I don't know. Yeah, okay, done. Now, when you said the first one, I got uncomfortable, but the double down one, I was like, yeah, that's where I'm at. I am
Ah,
doubling down. I am doing
see?
this till I'm
So you're
90. This is
there.
where I
You're
want to
already
be.
there. That's good.
Yeah.
So
But
that
it's the
gives
struggle
you
point of
a
asking
sense
the
of direction.
help part, the next thing of like, okay, I got to let go, because if I let go and ask somebody for help and it's successful, then it wasn't me that made it successful, it was the other person. And then I don't get any of the
Mm.
credit.
Now, where did that idea come from? When did you decide that?
Oh, that's a pattern that goes way back to like I was itty bitty.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like I
Okay.
said earlier, there's always thing. It's not an always, but it's been a long time of that.
Well, do you want to change that?
I'd like to, yeah. I mean, that'd be great because I'm stuck where I'm at. I don't want to be stuck anymore. I feel stuck.
A part of me feels stuck. Okay.
That's a part of me feels stuck, but I also see that there's potential in front of it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
my wife
Okay.
is in the chat here. She said, I like the double down part. And she said, ooh, to a podcast coach. And she also said, yep, I agree. These posts are hidden.
I want to clarify that's 4 O's and 2 H's, not an E
Yes.
and a W. She's not disgusted by the thought. That's
No.
ooh,
Ooh, podcast
interesting.
coach. There we
Okay.
go.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you've got the wife's support.
Yeah.
You're on board for it and you already feel led this direction. Go that way for sure. So then the question is, what's the first step going that way? Well, step number 1, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Jenny, who might be able to give you some other insights. Step number
Mhm.
2, deal with this whole if I get help, I don't get the credit thing, because that's not going to be true. Even if it used to be true, it's not going to be true in the future, because I'll tell you this right now for free, Jenny's not going to do the work for you. Jenny's going to tell you what to do and be on your ass about it if you don't do it, but Jenny's not going to do it. You're going to pay Jenny money and she's going to tell you, do this, and then you're going to do it. If you do it, you will be successful and it will come from you doing it. It will not come from Jenny having told you. Jenny knows things, but the person who knows things is not the person who does the work. That's 2 different things. If an architect designs a building and the steel workers in the union put the building together, the construction laborers do their work, the electricians wire the building correctly, the plumbers come in and make sure that it's got pipes, who gets the credit for the building? Is it only the architect? I've seen people get lots of credit. There's lots of credit to go around because everybody gets recognition.
Mhm.
I come from a theater background. When I'm the one who was on stage, the very last gesture of every show, every time, everywhere, every theater, forever, is the people that are on stage gesturing to the people that are in the booth or the people that are in the orchestra and getting the people that are off stage in all blacks, who are stagehands and stage managers, to come out and take their bows and get their credit. Because everybody knows it's not the people that are on stage who did everything. The people who are on stage are the ones in the spotlight. But the people who run the spotlight, the people who run the sound effects, the people who run the boards, the people who make sure that they've got light to begin with, these people also all get credit. There's tons of credit. And you deserve the credit. You've done a lot of work. If you want to be successful, you should get some more help and get somebody else behind the scenes to do more stuff backstage so that you can be in the spotlight and not running all of the stuff back there. There
Makes
is
sense, dude.
an expression that I have been taught many times in the past year. If it's not your genius, it's not your job.
Mm.
Specialize to the point that you don't do the stuff that's not your task. You do the thing that makes you the money, that makes you the audience members, that makes you the content that drives engagement, whatever else. That's your specialty. That's what you're supposed to do. That means everybody else on the team can handle their specialty because they know that you don't need help with that. But you do need other people doing other things, because if you're doing 12 different things instead of doing your thing, then you have to keep all of those things together and moving all at the same time, and you're hurting cats. You're perpetually hurting cats.
Yeah.
That tends to go rather poorly.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Okay. Makes sense.
So
I hear you. So Jenny is going to be podcast growth. How get?
Jenny is very good at podcast growth. How get?
Gotcha.
Jenny has launched 2 different podcasts, and she was paid for both of them before she made episode 0. She didn't launch anything, and she had already been making money from it because she didn't want to launch if she wasn't making money.
Yeah.
So she's got her system figured out. I don't know what it is yet. I want to get to, but I'm going to keep kicking her people as much as I can because she's really good, and she's doing market research right now, figuring out what are podcasters struggling with. So you'll get to talk to her for free. She'll be happy to talk to you. I have no idea what you guys might do after that, but I also don't make any promises about that. I'm going to let y'all figure that out. You have fun. But yeah, your specialization by definition comes with the necessity to not do other things. That's part of what it is to specialize. In my world, well, I shouldn't just use my world. Let's use your world. What is your favorite hobby? Default setting.
Favorite hobby is card collecting.
Nice. Okay. Which game?
Sports cards.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
We can use that. So, in sports, how big is the team when it comes to your favorite sport?
Baseball, 20-man roster, let's say 25.
Easily, right? What happens when the pitcher is burned out and cannot keep throwing because it's been 12 innings and they've run through 4 different pitchers already and they're deep in the bullpen and they've got to make sure somebody is fresh for tomorrow's game?
Yeah.
Sometimes they pull somebody from second base and they say, just throw the best you can, bud. Do what you gotta.
Just lay it over.
Just get it to the plate. If they get it in play, that's fine. It won't matter because they just have to get the game over.
Yeah. Yeah, and
If
even
you're
in
getting
sports
burned
that
out-
are like solo sports, like boxing or golf or tennis or MMA, even.
Oh yeah.
Like I've had this long discussion that, like, you know, even those guys have coaches. Even those guys
Correct.
work on
I'll
things.
say I have
It's a
never
solo
seen
sport.
an MMA guy not have somebody who was a towel man. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Everybody's got a Mickey in their corner.
everybody's got somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Doesn't matter how high up they go. Which means if you want to go higher, you've got to specialize a little. Some of that means letting go of some of the stuff, and some of that means asking for help with it, and some of that means you just narrow your scope of what you do. I don't think I told you before because it wasn't in this episode. In my hypnosis sessions, when I am doing the work with somebody, I tell people we're not going to go over every problem. We can't. That's a shotgun approach. If we had a 40-watt light bulb, it would barely illuminate this room. You wouldn't be able to read. You would barely be able to see. It would not be a great time. A 40-watt laser is an industrial-grade steel cutter. It'll bore a hole through the wall. The only difference is how the photons are being dispersed. When they're everywhere in all directions, you can't really see much. It's not great. When they are focused in and you've got one point that you are aiming everything at, it will burn a hole through your wall.
Okay.
You need to focus. You need to lock off some of that other stuff and narrow down what you're aiming for. Take the shot. Aim real close. Aim small, miss small. You will have a very good shot if you line it up carefully.
Yeah, and it reminds me of this old proverb. It's you want to go far, go fast. I mean, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with the
go
team.
alone. You want to go far, go
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was shake myself off a little bit there. That was at least I didn't end up barking like a dog at the end of that. So that was good. Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it. Ruff, ruff.
There you go.
My last name is Ruffalo. There you go. You got time for one more?
By all means. What hurry do I have? Let's go.
All right. So I had the takeaway number 3, and that was the stargazers versus seed planters thing we talked about. And I bet you were planting seeds in me just now, so we're going to go there a little bit. But
you'll see.
It's that productiveness. It's the fruit. It's the fruit that doesn't grow from staring at stars. It's planting a seed, watering it, pruning the tilling the grass, all that kind of talking to it so it grows, gives it oxygen. What would you say is the smallest seed that someone can plant maybe this week in themselves?
I mean, I said it in the episode. I stand by it. The smallest seed that will have the biggest impact is believing that things will turn out better than you thought. I don't want to just label it optimism and say, oh, just be optimistic. It's like, no, there's something to it. But like believing that things will work out, believing that things will go well is what it takes to be able to get out of something that's bad, something that's not working out. Because if you're stuck in a dead-end job and you hate life and you hate work and you are waiting to retire and you've been waiting for 20 years and you've got another 20 years to wait, that's a pretty miserable life is what it sounds like. That's just not good. That's not enjoyable. If you are able to take that same problem and zoom out a bit and say, well, actually, it was a pretty good day. I've got a roof over my head. I've got 3 meals. I'm doing okay. I'm not deep in debt, or I'm not, worried about somebody breaking down my door to break my kneecaps for a credit card or something. I mean, you're doing fine. There's lots of stuff in the world and there's lots to worry about. But realistically, I would say that the best seed, the smallest seed that one can plant is to change their perception so that they can then change their reality. And I would say that the best way to do that is to bring back or to restart the imagination machine. Kids imagine things like crazy all the time. They've got wildly active imaginations. And when I was a kid, I remember playing Cops and Robbers and Pokemon and trying to figure out Yu-Gi-Oh! And all sorts of things. We had sports games. We had things where I was zoned out and I just was looking at stars and clouds and seeing shapes and all of the different stuff that goes with that. So having imagination is what it takes to imagine a better world, to imagine things going better than you thought they were going to. And that muscle atrophies if we don't use it. It's in our brain, and if we forget how to use it, then we get stuck in the same ruts, in the same patterns, in the same style of doing things, because that's how it's always been. That's how we've always done it. Is it? is it really? Does it have to be? Because past failures are not future predictors.
Right.
If you're able to imagine something better, then all of a sudden that something has been imagined, which means it is one step closer to becoming real. It cannot become real if it cannot be imagined.
Part of me wants to start singing the Imagination Land song from South Park, but I don't remember exactly how it goes. So
That one I do not know. I always go to Gene Wilder and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
pure
My brain
imagination.
goes to pure imagination.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the place to begin. That's the best possible way to start, is to start imagining how life could be, or maybe even better, how life should be. Because if it's not how it should be, what needs to change to make it happen?
Put it in the chat, guys. All right. Yeah. So early in the show, we went through the rapid fire round, obviously, during the episode. And one of my favorites is always your personal definition of prosperity. You answered that perfectly. I love the answers you gave for everything. I'm gonna wrap up our time here because we spent over an hour on the after show, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you sitting down with me this long and actually coming in the chat and being here and co-hosting tonight. Is there anything you want to leave for the audience? Anything that's coming up for yourself? Anything you want to promote? Anywhere that people can get in touch with you?
Well, since this is the Prosperity Lounge, I guess I would love to share with you the post that I had on Facebook earlier today. I don't know who saw it or didn't yet, because, again, Facebook, we know how that goes. But there is a link here to a speech that I gave, more or less. Oh, I have no idea why that copied all of that way. That's weird. Hold on. Don't do that, Facebook. Facebook's being screwy again.
Is it your Mindset Summit?
Yes, that very thing.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring that up here and share my screen with everybody so they can see that.
There you go.
And we get that into the chat there. So there we go.
Yes, I will be speaking. The Prosperity Mindset Summit is something that a friend of mine is organizing. His name is Michael Whitehouse, and it is fully asynchronous and it is fully free. And if you scroll down, that's where the speakers start, and all of those people are speaking. All of those people have given a 10 to 15 minute talk of one kind or another. Mine's on there. I'm wearing this same purple. And I'm going to talk about time is money as knowledge is power. There are certain old sayings, certain folk wisdoms that we have been taught that are not 100% true on their own, and that we probably should reevaluate if we want to be more successful with those thoughts. So this is going to be free to everybody. You should come by my Facebook page and register through that link so that they know that I sent you, so that they are happy to see you and they are happy to see me, and maybe they will ask me back again. Who knows? But it's on prosperity and it's asynchronous. So all of us have already recorded our speeches, and they're just going to be put out to people through emails, or there's going to be a website or a dashboard somewhere, I think, that people can jump onto, and then you can watch whichever one you want to. You can listen to whichever one strikes your interest. And that's going to be starting just a week from now, actually, in March. It begins March 1st, I think.
Yeah. March 1st to the 20th.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
So that's that's what I did earlier this afternoon, actually. I recorded my speech. I figured out what I was going to say, and I sent it to my girlfriend to have her listen to it first so that she would tell me if it was right or not and whether or not it was any good. She seems to think that it's all right. So I was like, okay, well, that's good enough to start. So you can come find me there, and that will be the next thing that I'm doing that. I see in the chat, how often do they do that? I don't actually know. Michael Whitehouse is the guy who I know, and he says that his goal, I think by the end of this year, is to have 36 of them a year. So they're going to be on different topics. They're going to be at different things, but they're going to be running kind of all the time. And it's just a matter of finding enough people to speak on all of the different things. So he's growing that a lot, but it's going to be a good time.
Awesome. And of course, Scotticus.com, right?
Scotticus.com. That's
with a V.
Scotticus. I am Scotticus. I am Scotticus.
Oh, that's awesome. So if tonight's episode sparks something, whether it was the episode itself or the after show here or listening to me rant about myself, don't let it die here. Rewatch the episode, take notes, reach out to Scott, put in the comments how you're changing, answer the questions, do some stuff for yourself, push forward. Stop looking inward at the always and start looking outward at what may be or what can be.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yes.
I gotta start doing it myself.
Remember, we've always done it this way is usually only about 5 to 10 years old, and that's not actually true.
Yeah. That's always been true for the last 5 years.
That's a long-running joke that my dad had in ministry. The first time that we do something, it's, well, we've never done that before. The second time that we've done it, it's, well, we did it last year. The third time that we've done it, it's, well, we've always done it this way. It's just, sure, we've always done that. It's like, no.
I like that. I'm going to steal that.
Oh, yeah. Like it very, very much happens, especially in ministry, of just like, well, no, the little old church people don't like changes. But also it's just like, well, no, we've always done it this way. It's like, always? Always is a very long time. Churches haven't always played this music. This music was new in 1850. That's
True.
Not always, friends. The church has been around for 2,000 years.
Oh, we've always played hard rock metal music. AC/DC,
well, we've always had a band.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something about always, dude. I gotta do an episode on that. I gotta find an acronym for it now. I'll work on that.
Oh,
I got some stuff spinning in my head, so I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off here and write it down. So best way to help out, guys, share the episode. Comment, like, subscribe, if you can. I'd love for you guys to do that. But share the episode with somebody who needs to hear it. Start a conversation. If you're watching the replay, drop your pattern in the comments. I'll respond. Make sure get your question over to Scott. Scott, thank you so much for co-hosting. Thank you so much for being here. This was a very strong, powerful episode. Not just for everybody, but for myself. So thank you. And
a joy, Joey. A joy.
Just remember, everybody, you are not stuck. You're patterned, and patterns can change. If you're an entrepreneur or a leader trying to scale income without sacrificing conviction, this conversation will challenge your thinking. Watch it here. Watch it at the Prosperity Lounge. Join us. Listen to everywhere other podcasts are found. I'm going to leave you with one last question. What's one belief about business you've had to unlearn? And let me know in the comments again, or send me an email. Joey at theprosperitylounge.com. All right. Until next time, everybody, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This has been the Prosperity Lounge.